Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about what's happening in the state of Kentucky as the Kentucky House has decided to move forward on defunding DEI at public universities. We're going to be checking in with my big brother, Brother Sinedu Wakorfor, to get the latest on that. Also, former President Donald Trump over the weekend at that Ohio rally, he shows that he is honoring those who were a part of that January 6th insurrection. He does a little special tribute to them, calling them patriots. What does this mean as we move forward in the presidential campaign? We'll talk about that. Also, later on, we'll talk about the rise of Black History museums, how there are museums popping up all across the country that are now exhibiting different stories and telling our history the way it should be. And I'm going to tell you about one particular monument down in Montgomery, Alabama, that is absolutely fire. So, folks, we got all of that. And, of course, I want to hear what you got to say. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we are streaming live on various platforms. First, let me tell you about our home platform. You can check us out there at blackstarnetwork.com. That's the website for the dynamic network that we're on, blackstarnetwork.com. You can go to the website, download the app for free. Make sure you go on and download the app on all of your devices, whether it's on a Google device, whether it's on Apple, regardless of what device you're on, you can download the app for free with Black Star Network. And we also invite you to check us out on social media and follow us at Black Star Network. Check us out there, as well as make sure that you put a little something in the bucket to continue to power us and move us forward in this digital movement. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, show your love, and we thank you for your support. Now, we're also streaming on a number of other platforms. You can check us out on the Amazon platform on your Fire TV. Check us out on Amazon News. We're also on Amazon Prime, so you can check us out there on the Prime Video app. Just find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, Live TV, The News. We're also on the Freeview Network, where you can find us there. Just check out On Now under News for Black Star Network, and Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, The News, and Opinion. Now, we also, folks, are streaming on Brother Roland Martin's social media. You can find us on his Facebook page, where we're streaming there, as well as his YouTube channel. And folks are checking in there on the chat. And big shout out to the online culture crew that's on the X platform, on the Facebook platform, and on the YouTube platform. Let's give them a little something for the culture crew, because folks are filing in. And I see y'all. Tiana, I see you. I'm on YouTube. Tiana, I see you. Cindy D, I see you. Brother Damon Blissett, I see you. Lori Parks, I see you. Brian Christian, I see you. Janelle Fields, I see you. The Stephanie Humphrey channel, I see you. Cindy D, I got you. Make sure y'all join us in the conversation. Post your comments, share your thoughts, and be a part of the discussion today. Now, I'm joined by my fantastic brother. This brother has so much great analysis and insight about what's going on in the world. He is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. He's an activist, and he's just an all-around good brother. My brother, Sinedu Wakorfor, is joining me today. Sinedu, peace, big brother. How you feeling?
I'm good. I can't complain.
Good. Let's talk about what's happening in the state of Kentucky right now, where the Kentucky House voted last week, Brother Sinedu, to stop funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at public universities. And this is the ongoing trend that we're seeing in states that are led by Republicans, that they are stopping the funding, they are shutting down programs, they are blocking any type of initiative for DEI. And many in the Kentucky House, the GOP has essentially said that these efforts for around DEI is a failure, and Democrats defending them as pillars of support for students from representative groups. Now, I want to share this part with y'all, folks. Take a look at this quote here from NBC News. On the second, I'm looking at the second paragraph. The overhaul bill passed the House by a vote of 68 to 18, sending it back to the Kentucky Senate, which passed a much different version. House members stripped away the Senate's language and inserted a replacement that takes a tougher stance on DEI initiatives at public university campuses. The Senate will decide in coming days whether to accept the new version. The GOP has supermajorities in both chambers. What do you make of this, Brother Shanadu, as this continues to be the trend in GOP-controlled states?
Yawn. Are you scared though? Like that, I think we talk about this all the time with DEI. We talk about this with affirmative action. Remember, these are not efforts to bring, and I love when people say, oh yeah, this DEI, this wokeness, it's bringing the worst of the worst or whatever, or it's changing the standards. It's not changing the standards. It's making sure the standards are balanced so that people who are not able, because of laws and racism, to get opportunities are able to get them. And if you need an example, look no further than your biggest favorite black coon, Clarence Thomas. Him getting into Harvard. The affirmative action was helpful to him because the way things were set up, they wouldn't even look his way. It's not about if you have the skills or not. It's that your laws are set up to not look folks' way. I think my issue with the DEI dog whistle that everybody's calling in every state is that it's pretending. It is pretending as if these Black or Latinx or Asian or women or LGBTQ, sexual gender minority folks that are given chances through these DEI initiatives, it's making it as if they are the less than. And yeah. I always push the opinion of, if you all are saying that, yeah, the DEI folks are the worst of the worst, if you need to be qualified, look at the people who weren't so DEI folks and their qualifications. Reagan and all of his mistakes, and Bush and all of his mistakes, and Trump. Why is there space for those who, quote unquote, got in the right way? Why is there space for those folks to not be perfect? But then when it comes to folks who are DEI, it's always that they are being labeled as they're the worst of the worst. And you see that's the same strategy that they use when they're discussing immigrants, when they say, oh yeah, they're illegals, they're the worst, they're the rapists, they're the killers. But then you want them to do labor, you want them to work at the factories. Like, make it make sense.
Hey, bro, I'm with you 1,000%. And it's crazy because there is this ongoing conversation as if DEI is the big boogeyman of society. Oh, we can't have diversity, we can't have equity, we can't have inclusion. And I'm wondering if Black folks in these states from Kentucky and other states that are pushing back against this, especially in the public university space, I'm wondering if Black folks are saying enough is enough, and whether there's a groundswell of folks that are going to kind of rise up and say, you know what, we're not going to take this anymore. These are public places, and if you start to shut it down, where they're saying, oh no, this is not acceptable, then you're essentially going against the interest of the public, and that's even a bigger problem for democracy. And so, I want us to have these, I think it's important for us to keep track of these states and how they're moving and how they're moving forward. Let me just say this, then we're going to take our first pause because a couple of crew members got something to say about this. And folks, post your comments as we're having these conversations. Cindy D, my sister, first up, you said America will need more Black history museums as DEI continues to be taken away. Black history is American history. Yeah, we're going to need more Black history museum. We're going to certainly talk about that. But then also, we're going to need some supplementary outside spaces to have these conversations about our history. ABX girl, I like what you said. You said, Cindy D, how YouTube content creators can also fill in our history space. Since DEI is going, we need to take advantage of technology. And I agree with the ABX girl as well, that if you're not seeing certain things happening, right, until we figure out the best way to kind of remove, stop some of these decisions, stop some of these votes, then we got to move to alternative to other spaces. And I think that's part of this game plan. you got to have a flexible strategy because the Republicans, they're going to come one way, but we would have to come a different way. We would have to be much more innovative to make sure that the message is not lost. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue to talk to Brother Sinead. Plus, the big culture convo for the down, former President Donald Trump, folks. And some of the things he not just said at that Ohio, yes, he talked about the bloodbath, but it's more interesting to see how he's using January 6th as the cornerstone of his bid for the White House and why it just simply goes unmentioned, why no one is really saying, you know what, this is dangerous, and how this could possibly lead into something that we can't get ourselves out of as a country. Folks, we're going to have that big culture convo on the other side as well. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my brother Shanedu Wakofor, diversity, equity, inclusion specialist. He's also an activist and advocate. As we talk about what the Kentucky State House is doing as they're looking to defund DEI. Very quickly, brother Shanedu, I want to get your take on this. When you're talking about defunding these particular efforts, how much of an impact does that make, not just on the budget, but how much does that impact does that make or take away from the quality of the environment at these public universities? Because this is all a public university setting. So what are we talking about would change at a Kentucky public university?
Well, you think about Kentucky and its location, you think about the importance of first of all, you have to think about institutions. As much as institutions love folks that are in state, they also love people who are out of state and also international students, because out of state international students, they pay more money to go to university. So when you think about removing DE and I, you're also thinking about dwindling your incoming student numbers, because prospective student numbers, because folks don't want to go to a school where they're not understood. This is a different time. It's not okay for you to have a school that their cuisine isn't halal for those who are of faith, or even kosher for those who are of the Jewish faith, or even literally, or even having vegan and vegetarian options for those who are vegan and vegetarian. Like that, these are just very small things, but that is what DE&I is looking at. You're thinking about the sexual gender minorities. If folks' genders are not being affirmed at their schools, if certain bathrooms are not up to certain qualities, these are things that pronouns, these things, when you think about folks that are going to school, these are consumers. And when they go to, let's call the schools grocery stores, if the grocery store doesn't have what I need, and that is for multiple different groups, then I won't patronize that school. I won't patronize that business. And I feel like this could be hard because a lot of schools' strategies, HBCUs in particular, their strategies are to kind of pivot towards those of different cultures, to, again, grow the revenue, but also grow the dynamic of the institution. And again, these are just the small things. What about the staff and the administration that is to cater to these cultural competencies that are different? And it's not only DE&I for race. Let's talk about ADA. Let's talk about folks with disabilities. We have to also think about those who are neurodivergent. This is also what DEI is addressing. I think what's funny is when people look at DEI, they just, let's say what it is. You see DEI, you see nigga. That's what you think, but that's not what it is. And it's been proven many times that folks like to zero out on very specific things when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's also for white women as well. Same thing we said about the affirmative. It's also for women as a gender as a whole as well too. So we hear this, the statement, cut the nose to spite your face. Just like we said about affirmative action, that's what we're doing here. And this will affect everybody. Because what business, when you think about it from a economical perspective, think about these businesses that are coming in thanks to the Build Back Better, the IRA, Infrastructure Reduction Act, that President Biden has put into place. There are billions of dollars for multinationals to come into this country. Who are they going to look for? Where they're going to build their headquarters for making solar panels and things of that nature? It's more of the South that has the space. But the problem is you need people with the know-how. You don't get people with the know-how when you don't have diverse institutions.
That is heavy. That is heavy. And I want to share that with you. And let's go even further. In Kentucky, folks, this particular House passed version of this bill would ban, according to the reports, ban race-based scholarships and defund DEI offices and staff positions. It would prohibit the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education, which oversees public universities, from approving degrees that require courses containing, quote unquote, discriminatory concepts. Can y'all imagine that? You go to a school and then they don't even recognize that your accreditation. They don't even give you a degree because it contains what they deem as discriminatory concepts. This is very deep. Very, very deep. Now, here's the other thing. There are about 30 states that have introduced bills banning or limiting DEI initiatives during their current legislative session. And, NBC News, they put up this map of the country. There are only 3 states in this country that have enacted any type of bill against DEI. Y'all can figure it out. Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. But there are a number of other states that either introduced DEI bills or that bill has passed at least one chamber of the state government. So we're seeing this. But getting back to the piece that is about public university, you're talking about the impact it has on Black students, women, all types of minorities. And it's not just about the race. It also comes down to the degrees. And that is crazy. That is crazy that you can go to school in some of these states, and guess what? Your degree will not matter. All right, let me go to what the crew is saying around this issue. And folks, post your comments as we're talking a little bit about what's happening in the Kentucky House. Veteran of Truth, you said this: the new generation of young Black teens of America today have no clue what's going on in America and how their culture is being taken away. The same is being done to the Native American people. And you continue, Veteran of Truth, to say, this struggle needs all people of color, Black, Latino, Asian, Middle Eastern, Native American must come together as we all have the same struggles against one race of people. Veteran of Truth, I truly appreciate you. Welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for that beautiful comment. What do you say to that, Brother Sinedu?
I was going to say, and this is where we call for solidarity, because I'm glad that Veteran of Truth spoke about Asian. Because what's interesting is people forget that there is a minority within Asian. When it comes to Asian students in particular in America, look at those going to Ivy Leagues. There's always a broader brush painted on Chinese students. But we're forgetting that there are so many other Asian countries in the ASEAN Council, whether that be, people from Myanmar, Thailand, the people from Cambodia. They sometimes, because we paint Asia, we say Asia, but what we're meaning is China. There are smaller countries within Asia that DEI will actually help to make sure that you are getting a representation at the seat of the table. And I think this is really where solidarity matters, because it's not just the Black thing. And even if it was just the Black thing, okay, let's say it was just a Black thing. If they do it and succeed with the Black group, because we are a small minority group, what do they think they're going to do to you if you're a small minority group? And we've seen that from time to time. In certain situations, we say never again to certain things. But if it happened to one group, it could definitely happen to another. And
absolutely,
I would close and say, interestingly enough, it just reminds me of when Trump was in office and they wanted to repeal Obamacare. But what do you have to replace it? Because if you have nothing to replace what you believe is problematic, then you're not repealing it because it's problematic or that it's an issue. You're repealing it because you're racist. Point blank.
Look, this is crazy. This is crazy. And this is all a concerted effort that I think that a lot of Republican GOP controlled states are putting into place as they try to clear a pathway for their nominee, Donald Trump, so that way he can do what he needs to do. And if he gets into office, it opens up the door for him to do certain things as well. So this is the very interesting. Again, this is the Kentucky House. It still has to pass the Senate there in the state of Kentucky. There is some tension around the language and how this will happen and how this will move forward. But these states, folks, there are a number of states, and y'all should just take a look at with NBC News or any other news source. Take a look at the states that have impacted or have introduced legislation against DEI. It might be your home state, right? It might be your own home state, the place that you call home, the place that you live, because you're going to have some different conversations, especially if you have young people that are looking to go to college. You have Black student athletes that are looking to go to college. What does that mean for us down the road? It's a lot to consider. Look, we're going to keep our eyes out on this larger DEI conversation, of course, with our brother Sinedu. Folks, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's jump into our big culture conversation around former President Donald Trump at that rally in Ohio that he did over the weekend, not only talked about the bloodbath, but there was something else that he did that should make this country say, whoa, we need to stop this train, and we need to stop this train quickly, as former President Donald Trump honors those who were a part of the January 6th insurrection. I'm going to share with you what the president did and why we need to talk about it. Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the